Hi everybody, I'm Bud with Bud's Hot Sports Takes. Coming at you. Very first thing I'd like to get out of the way is we just had the home run derby, right? Jordan Walker, he won the home run derby. I believe he is the first Cardinal to do so. Me being from St. Louis, of course, I'm going to talk about that. Uh, you know, um, he's bringing the home run derby championship to St. Louis. Uh, he's bringing that home to my he's bringing that to my home. He's bringing that to St. Louis. So yeah, uh, thank you on behalf of St. Louisians out there. On behalf of the Cardinal fans, um, thank you. It means a lot. Great job. Congratulations, of course. I'd congratulate anybody that's winning anything, right? Because it's an accolade, it's a milestone, um, it's something very few people get to do, right? So, congratulations, right? But being somebody actually from St. Louis and being a Cardinal fan, of course, love that you won it. Uh, you know, and being the first, I believe you are the first Cardinal to do so. So, yeah, it means a lot. Uh, it's one of the biggest baseball franchises with one of the biggest fan bases in the world as far as Major League Baseball goes. Like I said, one of um, probably the Yankees fan base probably exceeds that, right? Um, but yeah, uh, but yeah, the Cardinals are probably number two as far as the biggest fan base goes. Uh, and now we have finally won the home run derby. We have a home run derby champion. So thank you. Because people love the long ball, right? It's what they tune in and sign up for. So thank you. Um, I also UFC 329 was this past weekend on Saturday. Um, yeah, Patty the Batty. Uh, he had a great submission win, first round victory. Literally choked the guy out with a Darce choke, uh, which before he had choked him out, I said, he's going to literally have to choke him out. I looked over at my brother and I was like, he's going to literally have to choke him out because uh, he's not the type that's going to tap. He's literally going to go out, and he did. He literally had to choke him out. Looked over at the ref, which good job. He said like he's out, so he tested it. And, like okay, and the ref called the fight and stopped it. Because it can be very dangerous continuing no choke after somebody's out. Um, you can easily end up killing somebody that way, and obviously nobody wants to do that, right? Um, so good job there. But then he's calling out McGregor and Gaethje. McGregor hasn't fought yet at this point in time. No reason to be doing that to see how first see how he does, right? Um, and then Gaethje. Obviously, the guy has the belt, so yeah, I understand why you would go ahead and be calling him out. Also, the guy had just beat you, right? But yeah, you don't need to be calling him out. Yeah, you both looked improved since your last fight. Gaethje looked really, really good. Right? Obviously, he looked. Obviously, Patty the Batty looked good too, right? Uh, the guy is very, very gifted wrestler, very gifted Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, very good striker. Uh, that he put away. Right? Very game opponent. Um, so, and then you choke him out in the first round. Good job, right? Um, I think he was a little lucky to be able to sink it in, but regardless, as a fighter, you see an opening, you take it. That's your job. Uh, he shot in. He went for a guillotine and stayed with it. Rolled, turned it into a Dars, sunk it in, and ended up putting him to sleep. So good job, right? You can't fault the outcome, but yeah, it's not about the outcome there for me. And the UFC does this all the time, where there'll be one fight in between, and two guys will face each other again. Especially if one guy ends up having the belt, and yeah, no, no, no. Yeah, I don't care, how the fight goes or something like that. Uh, yeah, no, it. I think you need like two wins in a row before you can re-challenge somebody, especially that person who's holding the belt. One fight in between. No, I don't like it. It's really too soon. Um, yeah. Um, so I'm against it. I won't be surprised if it happens. Like I said, the UFC does it all the time because there's money in it, right? And they're in the business of making money. Um, Now, of course, yeah, Bud's sports stakes. It's a major, uh, uh, something majorly that's in discussion right now. Of course, is the main event. McGregor versus Holloway too. And McGregor's injury. That's a very hot topic right now, right? So, yes, Bud is going to talk about it. Don't worry. We're actually talking about that right now. So, as he's walking out to the cage, McGregor, that is, um, and he's bouncing around left to right, shifting his weight. Um, I look over at my brother again. I tell him, I said, his movement looks a little off. Looks a little slower. Also looks like when he's going to one side, looks like he's kind of hitting a little bit harder. Like he's having difficulty on that one side, and yeah, I think there's something wrong there. And then he's taking off his pants to get down to his fight shorts, and when he stands on that one leg again, um, and he's putting weight and leaning over to it, he kind of buckles a little bit, and I'm like, again, I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm thinking there's something wrong here. And then, of course, now, was it as bad before he made that kick? Don't know. But I do believe, yeah, I'm pretty sure he had a pre existing injury. If not, that, hey, or if not, that, like, hey, he has an injury that uh, is that his previous injury just really never healed fully. Like he's had his pinnacle, right? I don't know if that's the case. Very few people are going to know if that's the case. Conor McGregor, uh, his coaching staff, his training partners, guys seeing him train at the gym, right? That's going to be it. And the fight world, they're very close-lipped when it comes to stuff like that, right? Because they don't want it to get out and potentially someone target a weakness of somebody's, right? And there's a lot of respect in that. So, yeah. So I don't know if we're ever going to fully know this, or if it's just going to be a talked about thing, unless they come out and say like, oh yeah, yeah, that was the case. Um, but I understand why people are talking about it, right? Um, but yeah, he rushes out. he jumps, throws a kick, lands on that same knee that you see him like before, kind of limping towards when he would put pressure on it, and then he just really couldn't stand after that or put pressure really on that knee. Like when he would step after that, like it was even worse. So I don't know if he hurt it worse. Um, don't know if like that's just the way he moves now. Before with it, no clue. Sometimes when you heal, you can be really at 100%, but you still have a bit of a limp or something like that. It just your range of motion is different. Um, Now that means, of course, that you're not ever really 100%, but you're at your 100%. So we don't know that, right? But I do believe that yeah, he compared to his his typical compared to where he was, or we're not the same. Um, and yeah, well, I think if that is true, he should have pulled out of the fight. It's very difficult for a fighter to be like, yeah, I'm going to pull out. Um, I can't fight. Um, but I think he should have pulled out, made the fight with that, and then Holloway could have made the fight with somebody else. And there would have actually really been a fight. Um, I know it had to be very upsetting for the fans. Of course, upsetting for people that had bet. Um, I'm neither of those because I've never been a McGregor fan. I never will be a McGregor fan, and it has a lot to do with how he carries himself. Which we're gonna talk just a little bit on this subject, and if you don't want to hear anything about religion whatsoever, just go ahead and skip the rest of the video. Okay. If you're like, what doesn't bother me, I'd like to hear what you got to say on what you're about to say on the subject. By all means, continue listening. Either way, you can hit the like button, hit the dislike button, subscribe, whatever you want. You can do all that stuff below, of course. Uh, but yeah, so like McGregor, he says he found religion, and I hope that is true. I hope that is true. Um, but um, I am not one to question someone's relationship with the Lord, right? That is not my place. Yeah, they say they found religion. You have to take that at face value, right? That's between them and God, not between them, God, and Buddy. Um, but nevertheless, um, my issue is with how someone or how athletes carry themselves when they make that claim. You're a public figure, okay? Um, and whether you like it or not, when you make the claim of finding religion or being a follower of a religion, whatever that religion may be, um, you're a figurehead of that religion at that point, because you you have a huge following, right? A lot of people watch you. There's a lot of eyes on you, and with that, comes responsibility. Um, and people are going to make judges not just on you, but judges, the people of that religion, um, and then opinions about that person's God as well. Um, is it right? Probably not. We are human beings and we're flawed. Um, if everyone was perfect, nobody would believe in religion because everybody would be perfect, right? Like, I'm perfect, why should I believe I am perfection? Um, but it's not the case. We're flawed. But when you make that claim, so like he made that claim, and he's asked if you could spend anywhere you want in the world, go anywhere you want in the world, no one would bother you. Where would you go? And he answers, church. Thank God for all he's done for me. Respectful answer, right? But then the very next question was, Gaethje said, and I forget what Gaethje had said, something about fighting him or whatever, right? And then what was McGregor's response to that? What was McGregor's response? I believe it was that, and then because of his accent, he says the F word a little bit differently, right? But he says the F word, that F word bum. So he also calls him a bum. Would be, um, face down, A up, right? And so again, he's cussing again. So he's swearing a couple times, calling the guy a bum. That makes your religion look bad. Makes your Lord look bad, your Savior, and paints us in a bad light. And while it may not be fair, you hold that responsibility. Just like Josh Hokett, the White House, right? He's like, thank you to my Lord and Savior. He's the number one. I couldn't do what I do if it wasn't for him. And then he goes on swearing and then calling Michelle Obama a man. You just made your Lord look bad. You made your fellow Christians look bad. And that's any athlete. I don't care what sport it is. I don't care if you're a baseball player. I don't care if you're a basketball player. I don't care if you're a soccer player. I don't care if you're a Bass Pro Fisher. I don't care if you're in NASCAR. I don't care if you're in the NFL. I don't care if you're a boxer, a kickboxer, a Muay Thai fighter, an MMA fighter. I don't care what sport it is. Because again, this is Blood Hot Sports Take, so we're going to stick with sports. But when you're a professional athlete, you have a lot of eyes on you, and at that, if you're claiming to be religious, and you're going to be thanking God, which I believe we should be thanking God on everything that we do, but that's neither here nor there. It's my personal belief. But when you're doing that, and you're putting yourself out there in that, you need to respect that and then act accordingly, because now you are, whether you like it or not, you're a figurehead of that religion, and everybody that is a member of that religion is now going to be reflected in how you act and what you say. The rest of the world is going to put everybody that is of that religion in that same box right there with you. So that's for every athlete out there, which, I would love for every athlete to be a Christian. I would love for every person on the planet to be a Christian. But whether they're a Christian or some other religion or whatever, you have a responsibility and a duty when you're claiming to be of a religion. You're then a figurehead. You have a responsibility to paint yourself correctly and to make right decisions, because the entire religion is going to be being judged by what you say and what you do at that point. And that's all Bud has to say on that subject. And that is it for this take of Bud's Hot Sports Takes. Of course, we'll be doing some more, and we'll be posting more frequently, of course, as football season's right around the corner. Thanks, guys.